The Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Purdy Insurance and MECTEC. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance and MECTEC. Now, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by our good friends at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. Some of our insurance needs, just some of them. We all have multiple insurance needs. And they do a great job of making sure that you're fully insured, right coverage, right situation, and they do a great job of saving you money wherever they can. It's all at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. We have Matt Catrillo coming up in a few minutes. That's a public service announcement from this station and the Ad Council. Just prepare yourself. We also heard about artificial intelligence in the news there. And when I first heard about artificial intelligence, the suit was the first one I thought of. Oh, stop laughing. Jeez. Our guy. All right, winding down camp. I was interviewed yesterday, and I was asked about the excitement gearing up to the opening game. And I said, you do get to a point in training camp where you say, all right, the heck with camp, let's just start playing the games. Let's get to it. I know camp's important. I know every day at camp is important. I got that. All right? I thought today was a really good day. Okay, good. All right. All right, I want to get to the games. And I know we have games this weekend. Several games. San Jose State's playing USC, TCU, North Carolina, among the games that are being played on what is, I think, for the last time ever going to be referred to as Week 0. Week 0. How dumb. Only college football come up with Week 0. The whiteout game officially announced. We know it's USC. It's going to be 7:30 at night. Okay, great. Look, the whiteout's incredible. You walk in, you have the viewpoint that Jack Ham and I have. You see the whole stadium in white, how loud everybody is. It's usually it's a night game. It's a finely tuned crowd. And it's just, the electricity is unbelievable. Then, of course, I get into the pattern of like, now I got to get to the game. What can you do to win the game? And that's where my mindset trails from the whiteout to, like, it's a game, and that's Jordan Mailata. You got to slow him down. Get some control over what he's doing out there. I mean, things that, like, we think of during the course of the game. The atmosphere is incredible. It's just, it's stunning and striking. I will always get questions like, which game is it? And like, and I never even think about it until it's like, oh yeah, I guess they have to do that, don't they? Because I'm looking at the games week by week by week by week. I don't really think. The only time I really think ahead is in May, when I'm putting together the advance work on every team. Then when I'm done with the advance work on every team, I got to file it away until we get to the week of that game. So I don't think about stripe outs. I don't think about helmet stripes. I just don't. I think the themes are all great and the fans are phenomenal. I just don't put, like, a lot of forethought into, I wonder what the stripe out game is going to be like. I don't know. Look at next year's schedule. Who's going to the way out? I don't know. It doesn't usually concern me. How about that? I know eventually they'll have one. It's just a question of which one. Now, this one works out. It's the right team, the right time, the right night, everything. Perfect. It'll be USC. And we go from there. But at least they've announced it. Has Matt arrived? He has arrived. The personal trainer for Giancarlo Stanton.
I'm sorry, I'm not making enough money to deal with that right now.
Well, I don't really think you have to do much. He doesn't do anything, so it sounds to me like it's a cake, no-show job.
Honestly, as I posted on X, it's time. I think it's time for him to retire. I mean, of course, I'm smart enough to know, based on what I do for a living, that these guys are working their tails off to get back. They want to get back. They feel bad about when these things happen, but these things do happen to some athletes, and sometimes the body just has had enough and just stops working to be a professional athlete, or what it takes to be one. So I think Giancarlo Stanton's got to realize this is the end of the road. And I think the Yankees do too. I don't know what that means financially and all that, but the guy's body just keeps breaking down. And as Bill Polian always says, now different sport, NFL, but your best ability is availability. That hasn't been the case at all for Giancarlo Stanton all year. Well, you know how big of a staple he was during the run to the World Series in 2024, but I mean, this is what it is right now. The guy can't get himself healthy.
Did you win it?
Unfortunately, no, but
okay,
he did get there, and it wasn't because of it wasn't because of him. Giancarlo Stanton literally carried the Yankees throughout that entire postseason run. So if there's one guy that's not going to get the blame from what happened in the debacle of a World Series against the Dodgers, it's not him. Because he even put him in position in Game 1 before they blew it. So, yeah, I think that's the one. I think that is the mainstay of his legacy, but I think it's time for him to hang it up.
Your team is an interesting team. Because I think your starting pitching is just great. It really is. And there's a depth to it. Bullpen's really good. Defense is still a little shaky. Base running, they haven't been a good base running team in decades. But the offense has got to be, unfortunately, for you, it's kind of a scary thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's maddening because how good starting pitching that you have, and it could be better if once you get Max Fried back, and hopefully that'll be it as far as his injury path that's been happening this year. And the bullpen, to me, it's good, but it's not great. Like I think they've had better bullpens in the past, but yeah, the starting pitching is there. The defense is very tough to watch sometimes, or the offense rather has been tough to watch most times, but they're playing a little bit better lately. But yeah, the starting pitching's second to none right now in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's
frustrating.
So what is your biggest complaint right now? Because this show would not be complete without you going on the attack.
Well, Steve Jones, I think you can agree with me that there's been a whole lot of stupid happening around college sports yet again. This is, as you said, I caught some of the end of the show yesterday. It's just when you think you've seen it all, there's something else that comes at you blindsided with everything that's now going on between the player that can go back to college if he doesn't make it into pros on the NFL side of things. But luckily, at least for right now, the Big Ten started this, and now the SEC, after they put out that big statement a couple of days ago, they put money where their mouth is, and they're putting the hammer down even on the G League, which I agree with you. I don't think the G League is necessarily one where you can consider a professional level. I think you can get away with going to the G League and coming back.
No, that's not what I said. I said the Summer League. The
Summer League. Okay,
the G League is professional. It's the equivalent of playing at Lehigh Valley.
Right.
I mean, that's the G League. To me, you are now a pro when you do that. If you're in the summer league, I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah, summer league. That's what it was. Yes, and I 100% agree. It's good that the conferences are starting to put the hammer down. But then again, it's just going. But how long is this going to last? Because the NCAA started this precedent because they didn't want to be the bad guy. They didn't want to put their foot down when all this started coming down way back when Oklahoma and Texas joined, and you and I were in the studio together. And now they have literally no control on what can happen in the courts because the courts have nothing to be on their side with. So it's just maddening.
I do want to give credit though to the Big Ten, and then followed by the SEC, and you'll find out tomorrow the ACC will do the same thing. To their credit, they put the brakes on it. We're not doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, they set the precedent.
And I mean, because I know Pat went to Matt Campbell before all this. He said, I just want to make sure we're not opening the door to anything like that and what you're doing. And Matt said, hey, I got my team. We're done. So Pat then was very aggressive in the Big Ten meeting about we can't do this. Because he wanted to make sure, like, hey, he didn't want to go in there and go, we can't do this, and they've got somebody lined up. You know, it's like, nah, I can't. That's not Matt. That's not how he does things. So it was unanimous, the vote in the Big Ten. The SEC, look, Greg Sankey came out and said, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Meanwhile, he's saying it's wrong, and LSU's over there, and they're signing football players. They're signing a basketball player. I mean, you know, R.J. Lewis, who played against Penn State when he was at UMass, had a two-way contract with the Utah Jazz. And it was with the Celtics. He didn't play a game with the Celtics, but he was with the Celtics. He got traded. Like, now he's going to play for LSU. Really?
Exactly. I mean, Greg Sankey has always been the definition of a snake. He's a very smart man, but he's a snake. There's no question about it.
Well, no. He was on the right side of this. He's on the right side of this.
He still was letting it happen. LSU was going to do it all.
Yeah, but then they voted and they told him they can't do it. I mean, so Sankey did follow through. I think you got to be fair about that. True. He said it. They followed through because when he said it, it's like, well, you can say it all you want. You can't keep control over this guy over here in Baton Rouge, can you? I mean, those two guys are incredible. They're incredible together.
And then there's the women's basketball coach. I'm going to duck as I say that.
She speaks highly of you.
It really is just never ending with LSU sports. I think it was Dan Patrick yesterday that said, thank you, LSU Athletics, for giving us stuff to talk about. I mean, that is just an embarrassment of an athletic department. It really is.
Well, they don't care. They care about winning. And you know what this tells me? Yeah, but you know what this tells me? On the front of Lane Kiffin and Will Wade, they are both looking at their current rosters, and guess what they think? They think they're not good enough.
Oh, hands down. I mean, I think your point was well taken the other day. LSU is, 11th right now? So, yeah, he clearly doesn't think that whatsoever if you're going to make a move like this.
Yeah, I mean, when you're making moves like that, you don't think you're good enough. And that is
But here's the thing, though, when it comes to Lane Kiffin, though, I think even if he was good enough, he would still do it, because I just think that's kind of the low-integrity kind of guy he is. Maybe that's not fair, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, look, I go back to Silas Redd here at Penn State with Lane Kiffin. When the word came down, you could take any Penn State player you wanted, and it wouldn't affect your 85 scholarship limit. They came in, and Kiffin and 5 other people flew to Stamford, Connecticut to wow and woo Silas Redd, and they got him to go to USC. This is something, when it comes to Lane Kiffin, I've seen this act firsthand for 14 years. He just does whatever he darn well pleases whenever he pleases. And in a world where you're trying to preach ethics long-term to people, he's not the one I would turn to give the speech.
110%. And now here's my question. You know, first of all, everybody can say what they want about Notre Dame, but Marcus Freeman was absolutely right in bringing this up, and now it really is becoming a big point in terms of, you know, how does this work with the admissions process, because Notre Dame had a former player that looks like LSU was looking at. I'm not sure if he's going there or not. I don't know if that's finalized, but he said no, because that's going to screw up the whole admissions process. So Marcus Freeman is somebody of integrity and actually knows that it's not just about the athletics, it's about the student athlete still, despite everything that's been changing in college football. So now my question is, because I have no doubt that there's going to be a judge that's going to knock all this out, what the SEC, the Big Ten, and as you said, soon to be the ACC is going to do, is if I have a player coming back from the NFL or what have you to play another year of college ball, does this guy have to be admitted into the school? Does he have to take classes? How many classes does he have to take? Does he have to be a full-time student? I mean, these are other things that are, to me, the vocal point of what you've got to be able to justify bringing these guys back. Or else, to me, it just looks worse. It was already bad that you've got guys that in camp that, let's say at LSU's camp, that maybe are the starting tight end right now before DeQuan Smith comes through. He thinks he's going to be the starting tight end, and he's worked his rear end off all summer. Then all of a sudden, I'm sorry, DeQuan Smith is back. You're going to be the backup now. I mean, it's just an insult to anybody and everybody by having this type of precedent.
Well, the vote in the Big Ten was unanimous, and it's any player who signed a deal with the NFL or was on an NFL roster, and also any underclassmen that did not withdraw from the NFL draft or the NBA draft. So that's where they are. So the Big Ten was unanimous on it yesterday. Then the SEC followed up, and they say that any school that violates the Big Ten's NFL rule will result in a coach being suspended for 50% of their games, and there's also an institutional fine.
And I like that too, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what the ruling is, I think the SEC is pretty similar, but at some point, you have to take charge of your sport. You have to. You just can't keep getting in the fetal position and getting kicked all the time. You've got to take charge, because right now, when it comes to poorly run institutions, it's a race to the bottom between Live Golf, NASCAR, the WNBA, and the NCAA. Which one? You can argue any one of the four as being the poorest run.
Yeah, I think I would put NASCAR as the best run out of that group you just mentioned, but that obviously goes without saying.
They were popular for a period of time. They blew it.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
they did, and now they don't know how to recover.
Yeah. Now it's that. Yeah, but that's a different topic. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And when it comes to the NCAA, from all the things that we've talked about before that they didn't do, you can't just sit there now and act like this. Protect College Sports Act, which I think for the most part is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo of politicians that know nothing about college athletics, which is why politics and sports should not mix at all. But they can't even get that passed. That sounded like that was one thing for sure that was going to get passed before Congress's summer recess, and they can't even get that passed.
Well, I mean,
not to bring politics into it, but right. Like if they can't pass that, what else are they going to pass? But if you're the NCAA, you can't just be continue to sit idly by and hoping that this is just going to be a Band-Aid, because they can't even pass that right now. Who knows if and when that will get passed? Well, and all you're just going to keep having is just lawsuit after lawsuit, and then judge rule after judge ruling. That's going to continue to screw everything up and screw over different college athletes that are deserving to be in the spot that they thought they were in. But no, because we have to let players come back from the pros who didn't who didn't make it in, and now want to all of a sudden, I want to go back to college. That's like saying if you're a business major, you don't get a job. Oh, can I come back for class for another year? That's not how the world works. It's either, as you said the other day, it's either you turn pro, you use your degree, if you turn your 4-year degree, if you earn that as a senior, and you go get a real job in the real world, or you go back to school without playing and get your degree, and then go in the real world. This is how this works. This is how this is supposed to work.
Right. Yeah, well, the reason they got it through committee, they just couldn't get it to the floor for a vote. They're going to do that next month. And then after that, we'll see what its fate happens to be in the U.S. House of Representatives. But this is a case where the NCAA has not taken charge of their sport, and they're going to go to court over something here. And I'll give everybody a clue. Like, Josh Reed did not sign a pro contract with anybody. Right, so he's been sitting there. His case comes back up the third week of September. So, right, on appeal. So that's where he is. Okay. Well,
here's another similarity with this: is everything that's going on with the NCAA right now is just as bad as the same equivalent as Giancarlo Stanton's injury history right now. Nothing's going anywhere.
Does Aaron Judge have collegiate eligibility remaining?
Who knows? I'm sure some judge will probably grant him it anyway because he's Aaron Judge. That's apparently how the world is right now.
I haven't seen him in a long time. He's still with us, right?
Apparently. I know just as much as you.
I watched the Little League World Series. One gigantic kid came to the plate. I thought it was him.
I'll take his bat in his arm, that's for sure, if you're referring to the kid from Iowa.
Look at the size of that guy.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance and MECTEC. Now, here's Steve Jones.
MECTEC Incorporated and Diversified Construction. MECTEC Incorporated is a professional engineering and land surveying company who's been providing civil engineering and survey services since 1971. Diversified Construction offers a variety of construction services, varying from accessible home modifications to commercial and light industrial construction. Together, MECTEC and Diversified are proud to be the consumer choice in the Susquehanna Valley and beyond. All right, so CBS Sports, Matt Norlander put this out. And it says that punishments have been put in place in the SEC for any player who previously signed a pro contract and or declared and didn't formally withdraw from the NFL, NBA, G League, or WNBA. The penalties are as follows. Half-season suspension for the head coaches. SEC voting privileges revoked on business matters for the school in violation. A hefty fine, 50% of that sport's annual operating budget. The league retains the right to levy other penalties by Greg Sankey and or the SEC president's chancellors if necessary. They're at least trying to take a stand on this. Because I'm sorry, when you're done with college, you're done. Hey? And I don't want to hear about, well, I always love when I hear the average student can transfer anywhere they want. Do you think this, okay, first of all, the average student doesn't bring 60 to 100,000 people into a stadium, right? Or it doesn't bring 8 to 12,000 fans into an arena. The average student doesn't do that, right? And if they leave, do 99.9% of you out there care that the student left to go and pursue their academic life at Loyola? Of course not. You want them to do well because, as good people, you want them to do well. But there's not a depth of caring because it doesn't affect you in any way. But the running back leaves. Oh. The point guard needs. Oh. Okay? So it's a different set of circumstances. And guess what? The student that leaves and is allowed to go to any school that they want to, okay, they're not getting paid. But the athlete is. The athlete is getting paid. Right? So it's a little different. And they're getting some of that money from the school. Okay? And it's a big difference. I don't want to ever hear about, well, the average student. The average student doesn't figure into this. It's their money. They can do anything they want. They aren't on a scholarship. Right? The average student can do whatever they want, go wherever they want. It's their money, their time, whatever, their education. As opposed to, we're giving you money, we're giving you a scholarship, we're paying for your books, we're paying for your room. There's so many things that go into it, which just does not fit with, quote, the average student on campus. I always love, well, the average student can. I look at him and go, yeah, and how much are they getting from the rev share? None. Different rules for the athlete, thus different rules for the athlete in terms of the ability to transfer. That needs to be halted as well. The Protect College Sports Act is correct. One freebie, go wherever you want. Second time, you got to sit out a year. And you got 5 years to make up your mind on these things. But you've got to be able to take a stand on this. And the NCAA is not taking a stand on it. Now the conferences have to take a stand on it. I mean, the conferences are the ones taking the stand on it right now. Nobody else is. I mean, the NCAA is not, and they should. So somebody had to step up. Conferences are stepping up. Now, will there be somebody who puts a court case against them? Of course there will be. It's the way it is. Everybody goes to court. Right? I mean, courts have far more important things to deal with than the eligibility of a pro athlete. At least in my opinion, they do. They have more important things to do. Criminal cases out there. I know somebody's attempting to, in a fraud case, was attempting to get money out of parents' bank account. Right? Well, took it to the police. They're now investigating. That's the kind of person that should be prosecuted. That's what the courts are for. Bring a case like that in front of the courts. Right? Okay. Fraud against those on Social Security. Okay? That's an important case. Your eligibility to play at LSU? No. It's not. Okay? You went to college. You had your opportunity. Now it's time to go pro. It's trying to get on with your life's work. For the fifth-year guys that did not go pro, that are not an undrafted free agent, that are not in a camp, okay, different story. It should have been great. The NCAA should have taken care of this and grandfathered it. Didn't do it. Did not do it. I mean, that's the remarkable thing. There's so many things they can do and did not do it. There is no common sense in the NCAA. They don't think things through. When you are in the real world and you are making decisions, you mull over and over again before the decision, go round and round. Okay, what are the unintended consequences? Will I have to live with some of the unintended consequences? Can I nip the unintended consequences in the bud now? In the real world, that's what you do. When you're doing everything based on the theory of life, you get nothing. The theory of life gets you nowhere. It gets you nowhere in anything. Whether it's sports, business, what I do. So I changed up how the course was taught here at Penn State when they asked me to teach sports broadcasting. Because when I went to school, it was all about broadcast theory. Well, broadcasting is not a theory. You need practical experience. And that's why when we started up, because I started the course, it was all about practical work. You need to do a sportscast. This is how you do it. Okay, let's grade it out. This is how you do a field report. Okay, go out and do it. Then we'll grade it out. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is where you need to be better. This is where you're on track. Right? When I went to school, it was broadcast theory. Well, no offense, that didn't get me anywhere. I mean, I wanted feedback as to how I was doing. Thank goodness I had the access to the college radio station where I made, 1,000 mistakes. It's funny. I was listening to Don Fisher yesterday. I mean, Don's being from Indiana. He's being honored. And he was talking about when he first got a job. And he gets the job, and I think he started out in Butte, Montana. And he finally then got a job, I think, in a small town in Illinois, which is where Don grew up. And when he finally got a job in the state of Indiana. And when he did play-by-play of a high school game. And Don will tell you that he was horrible. I mean, he was like, oh, my gosh, they're going to fire me. I'm done. There was a guy that was a local broadcasting legend that did a lot of high school play-by-play in his career. And Don went to him and said, hey, look, I need help here. I'm going nowhere. And this guy spent 5 hours with him, telling him the ins and outs of how to do it. There's still things that Don does today because of what he taught him. Right? That's the kind of practical, like somebody that's in the trenches every day that gets it. Those are the kind of people. The NCAA doesn't have people like that. They don't have people in the trenches. Well, what trenches are they in? Right? Somebody to teach them how to actually do the job, know the ropes. Now, Don also admits he made a big mistake because, of course, growing up in Illinois, it was the University of Illinois. And he tells a funny story about it, how he referred to Indiana as the University of Indiana. Oh, he said he caught heck for that. It's Indiana University, IU. Right? And he said, I have never said that since. He was told about that. And, but it was a great story about, and I've told the story on my part. I sat next to Gil Santos for 4 years. 4 years. I learned more sitting there in 4 years than I did in the classroom. Watching a maestro broadcast a game. There are things I do today that are still a direct result of me observing and listening to him, and him taking the time to listen to my tapes. Steve, I want to hear your high school football play-by-play. And the confidence he gave me after listening to it and the evaluation of it. It meant everything to me. You have to have people that are in the trenches, that do the job, that have practical application. Right? The NCAA in their office, they have no practical application experience out there. You can't do these jobs on theory, and they get their butts kicked every single time they come up with this stuff. I don't understand what they're doing, and I don't understand who's leading the way, telling them to do it this way. We're all sitting there saying, no, that's wrong, no, that's wrong. And it's not like they don't do something right. Like the 5-year rule, the 5-year rule is correct. They got that right, except for not grandfathering the 2022-year-old class, because for 1 year you can do that. Okay? That's all you do is just you've got to be able to have the foresight to knock it around saying, look, guys, if we don't grandfather the 2022 class, we're going to be in court. Does anybody in that organization want to save money on legal fees? They're in court all the time because of decisions they make. You would think you'd like to save some money on legal fees and actually come up with a plan that works and covers the bases. We're starting from this point forward. It's been one mistake after another with these people. All right, one mistake after another. And it's almost been remarkable to see them. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with some of these guys. Ironically, Pete Thamel, who's been covering this, Pete's actually going to be, I believe Pete's going to be here tomorrow. And I know that he interviewed attorney Ryan Doughton, who represents the clients impacted by the SEC ruling. And he said that the league's actions put the NCAA in contempt of multiple court orders. He says it's like cartel-like conduct when the NCAA conferences attempt to create their own spur-of-the-moment rules in response to courts enjoining those same rules at the NCAA level. No, I disagree with him. It's nice he's representing his clients. I've got him. But somebody had to step up and draw a line in the sand and say, you signed a professional contract to leave us, and go there. You're done. You're finished. There's no do-over. How many of you want to have a do-over in life? Not everybody has had the life of the suit where there's nothing he would change. Even though all of us around him have a list of things we'd like to change in him. Stop laughing. All right. So, the attorney can sound off all he wants, and there's a chance the attorney's going to win, but he can sound off all he wants. No offense, I don't agree with him. Somebody had to put their foot down, so they put their foot down. Somebody had to lead, so they led. All right? Well, guess what? I respect leadership. And I don't, for example, like there's certain players I don't know. I don't know how, for example, let's take the basketball kid, R.J. Lewis. He's been granted an injunction. Well, I have no idea whether this means this new ruling means he's eligible or not, because he got his injunction on Monday. All right, and I mean, a judge says he can play, but again, right? I mean, did he play in a preseason game for the Celtics last year against the Cleveland Cavaliers? Yep, he sure did, because he was under contract. I have no idea. And I don't know if this makes him, this SEC ruling makes him eligible or not. To me, it sounds to me like he's not eligible on the SEC ruling. Now, is somebody going to challenge this in court? Of course they are. Of course they are. You know, this idea that, they're just kids. They're not just kids. And they've got a lot of adults around them right now. And one of my problems with some of the adults around them is simple. You got some adults around them that are taking more than their fair share of what's going on out there. Do you realize professional contracts, like the pros, the agent gets about 3 to 4%? There are some players in college where their agent's getting 10 to 20%. That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace. They shop them around. Some of them want money now just to make a recruiting visit. Really? Really? We are in a weird time, man. This whole thing, he didn't play a game for the Celtics. He played in the preseason, which meant he got paid. You don't play the preseason for free. I don't know where they come up with some of these rulings. Is Chuck Noll, time to get on with your life's work. Right? Can't be Bluto. Can't be John Plutarski. And the others in Animal House, where they're in their 7th year. Can't do it. Now, are there other athletes? Like I said, when it comes to, let's say, Jackson Kohler, let's go with him. He played in the Summer League. I'm okay with that. He was on a Summer League team. He's not in a training camp. Didn't play any preseason games, to me. And he was undrafted. Josh Reed at Penn State, same thing. Now he's got to go back through the appeal process. And we're about 3.5 weeks away from finding out whether his appeal is good or not. And again, this let's take R.J. Lewis, for example. Played against Penn State, was in UMass, then went to St. John's and was the Big East Player of the Year. Previously declared for the NFL, NBA, or WNBA draft and did not appropriately withdraw. Well, you can check that box. He didn't do that. He declared and did not withdraw. Signed a contract with an NFL or other professional football league, an NBA G League, or WNBA affiliate team. Well, RJ did that too. Boop, next box checked. Been listed on an NFL or professional football league, NBA G League, or WNBA roster. Well, he was on the preseason roster for both the Jazz and the Celtics, played in the preseason. Well, that's number 3. Box checked. So far, he's 3 for 3. All you need is one of them to be X'd out. He hit all 3 boxes. Very impressive. School officials at LSU did not immediately return a request for comment. It's unclear if Lane Kiffin and men's basketball coach Will Wade will continue to pursue these players in violation of the new conference rules. If they will let the courts decide, or they'll part ways in compliance with the conference. The bottom line is that they've pushed back. The ACC, the Big 12, and Notre Dame also indicated they are not far behind. Notre Dame is totally opposed to any pro-to-college transaction. And by the way, Marcus Freeman has been very strong about it. The ACC is voting tomorrow. The Big 12 evidently is going to do something. I just haven't said what day yet. This is not cartel-like conduct, okay? I don't understand why there's this feeling you can do anything you damn well please whenever you want. I don't understand that. I mean, no offense, but, you know, how rare is it for somebody to go back to something? Very rare. I mean, they're not going to sit there and invite you back. Crazy. I mean, here you are finally having a group of people, starting with the Big Ten, trying to take control of a situation the NCAA has lost control of. And it's really starting to bother me that on the judicial level, that they don't understand what eligibility is and what a pro contract is. Jackson Kohler did not sign a pro contract. He just played in the Summer League. But you've got guys in NFL training camps, and the bottom line is Lane Kiffin and Will Wade are both telling the entire world neither one of them thinks their football or basketball team is good enough. Half hour brought to you by MechTech and Diversified Construction. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.